us. Tonight is the June 28th, 2012 meeting of East Fishkill Town Board. Would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Tonight, Councilwoman Walker won't be with us tonight. Ethel, I know that you're watching Channel 22 tonight. Councilwoman Walker will not be with us for a few meetings. I'd just like to say, Ethel, get better, and we look forward to seeing you soon. And you are missed. The only other announcement I have is on the rezone proposal. 2 months ago, we had a public hearing on a rezone proposal, and a lot of the people in the subdivision back there behind the proposed rezone property came in to discuss their concerns about traffic. I guess at that point, there had been a lot of traffic coming through the property, and we sat down. And that concern before that also, I'd like to talk about flooding, had been a concern in the previous public hearing held some months before that. We had asked the applicant to go back and look at how they were designing their stormwater retention. They did a very, very diligent job of providing that the stormwater was not going to increase any stormwater off the site. And after the last public hearing, there's quite a bit to do. And the part of it was because the retail area was going to be set behind the commercial area. Now, in my mind, when the applicant was first listened to back in 2002, and they said, we'll do the residential first and then do the commercial, because when I read the minutes of the planning board, in my mind, it would have been smarter for the planning board to say, do the commercial first, then whoever's buying a house would see, oh, this is where I'm going to live. So we sat down with the applicant after taking input from the last public hearing, and I think the applicant has made a very good proposal that we've incorporated into the law that we're looking to adopt tonight, that the residential will be separate, it will have their own road from Palin Road, and the commercial will have a separate entrance from Palin Road and from 52, and there will be no connection between the two. And as a matter of fact, some of the people that had come from that subdivision talked about, seeing IBM and all that over there. They will be now seeing like a landscaped area behind a nice commercial building. So I think that in concept, we have addressed the issues that were brought up to us as far as the flooding and the traffic. And I think the applicant has really stepped up and done a good job of incorporating all that into the plan. So I just wanted to say that I think they have a good plan, and all these issues are addressed in the law that we're going to possibly pass tonight. That's on the agenda for tonight. So I just wanted to make that statement. And with that, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Councilperson Walker is absent. Councilperson Cassidy.
Present.
Councilperson Danke.
Present.
Councilperson D'Alessandro.
Present.
Supervisor Hickman.
Present. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We've also received the minutes for the May 24, 2012 meeting. Clerk Hooray, have you received any comments, additions, or changes?
No, I have not.
If that's the case, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the May 24th meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. The minutes are approved. Thank you very much. Now is the time, public comments on agenda items only. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on any items on the agenda? You can come up to the podium, please.
Susan Lally, 28 Circle Drive, Hopewell. I have a question. When was all this decided about the change in zoning? I thought we were going to discuss it again at the meeting with charts and all that stuff at this meeting.
No, the last meeting, we closed the public hearing. We took everything everybody has said. We compiled it. We discussed it with the applicant, all the traffic issues over the last few weeks following that meeting. And but we had closed the public hearing at that time. We'd taken all the
Back
comments.
in April.
Yeah.
But that's not what you said. In April, you said we would adjourn it until the June meeting where they can get their charts and their maps and everything all together and discuss traffic.
No,
But that's already been, it's a done deal.
No, the minutes, if you check the April minutes, they say that the public hearing was closed.
I thought you, well, that made it sound like it was closed as of that evening for that evening,
It was closed.
permanently then.
Yeah, we
But
closed
you
the
didn't
public
make
hearing.
that clear.
We closed the public hearing that evening. We've taken all the concerns and all the concerns from the public into account, and we discussed it with the applicant. I think we came up with something that suits everybody.
You know, you said that we were going to discuss it again at the June meeting. Now, from what I see, it's already been discussed and done with, and there's no more discussion.
Well,
You've done.
you can discuss it
You've
now.
decided it,
This
it's
is the part-
finished.
This is the part of the meeting where for comments on agenda items, so you're certainly open to ask any questions or make any comments.
Well, yes. What about the fact that none of the residents over there or other residents want this thing here? You're still going to go ahead with it. I'd like to know why. Why are you going ahead changing the zoning on this property when nobody wants it?
Who doesn't want it?
I don't want it. A lot of residents in Lake City don't want it. A lot of residents in the Stone Ridge don't want it.
Okay.
Who wants it? Nobody here, no, there was nobody here in April that spoke up and said, oh, we want this.
No, but the issues that was brought up, and I think it was very clear that the issues that the people had in the Stone Ridge subdivision was a traffic issue.
No, there was also an issue of their houses, the value going down, and a whole bunch of other things now with the school bus stop. There were several issues raised. And a lot of
I
the
think
people at the end stated, we don't want it. But now we're still stuck with it. And I'd like to know how that came about.
I don't recall everybody saying we don't want it. I
Yes.
thought actually quite a few of the people were very reasonable when they stated their concerns. One gentleman talked about the safety of his children. They did talk about the school bus stop. Again, a lot of these issues seem to be very traffic-related. So the applicant has proposed changing the layout to have two separate entrances, a landscape buffer between the two. I think it's a fine project, and all this will be discussed further. All we're doing is approving the concept of the zoning change here. Now it's going to go to the planning board, where through SECRA, they're going to look at the traffic issues, they're going to look at setback issues, they're going to look at all these stormwater issues all over again.
But according to your paper, that you are giving them this rezoning. So once it's rezoned, regardless of what the planning board futzes around with. They got their rezoning, and we're screwed. And,
Well, then any other issues are taking up at the planning board stage.
what good is that gonna do? They're still gonna build a commercial building. So we don't want a commercial building.
Why not?
Why should we? Why do we need another commercial building? We have little strip malls all over the place that are empty. Why do we need another one?
Okay.
I asked that last time, and nobody answers me. Why is it so important to this board that they get their commercial zoning? I don't understand.
Can't help you.
Oh, just out of the thin air?
An applicant comes in, applicant has the right to make an application for a zoning change.
And doesn't the board have a right to say no?
We have a right to say no. We also have a right to say yes. We also have a right to take a look at it and ask for changes, which we have done, which seems to have, I think, suited everybody's issues from the last two public hearings.
Not really, because a lot of those people that, yes, brought up traffic and brought up bus stops and everything else also said that they just didn't want it, but they defined
Just-
on one thing. You know, and you picked up very nicely on one thing, but they still said they didn't want it.
Okay.
But yet you're still going to go ahead with it. So
Applicant
the
has-
the residents don't factor into this at all. We
Well, of
don't,
course they do. That's why we've been looking at this thing, making changes to it, trying to accommodate all their concerns.
but you're working with it, you're not working with the residents. You're
Yes,
not
we
working
were.
with us.
We listened to what they said. Their concerns were traffic and flooding. We've addressed those, and now when it goes to the planning board,
It
if
was
it's
more
approved
than
tonight-
traffic. It was the idea of that we have an eyesore of a commercial building. You want Route 52 to look like Route 9? Is that what you're trying to do? In East Fishkill, is it going to look like Route 9 soon?
No, I don't know. I think that a commercial area, Route 52, would be a place for commercial buildings. I mean, in my mind, I don't know what the rest of the board thinks.
And how
I have
is
no
this
problem.
going to
I mean,
benefit the town?
I just had a gentleman come in the office the other day. He would like to bring his business to East Fishkill. And he had like 14 employees, not a huge business. He's been in business for over 20 years. He likes East Fishkill. He'd like to come here. Should I just say, sir, we really don't want your business in East Fishkill?
That's
We don't
not-
want commercial in East Fishkill?
Does yes, does he go buy residential property and expect it to be changed into commercial because he wants to move his business here?
Some of it does abut residential property, yes. So-
Why doesn't he buy commercial property and just end the whole problem? Why does it have to be the residential property is the one that has to go?
I disagree with you, and I don't think we're ever going to agree on this,
No, we're not.
so.
But I want to know how it all came about without another hearing as to what's this going. I mean, there were no signs up that anything was taking place on the property. All of a sudden, it's done. It wasn't done at the end of the April meeting. It was sent to this
We did
meeting.
close the public hearing at the end of the April meeting.
Well, you didn't make that clear. But beside the fact, okay, the public meeting is closed, and now what happens? We just get ignored because you decide, well, we're going to give it to them anyway. So what, because I know you were talking about this B1A zoning back in April.
Right.
And so, in other words, it was a done deal in April. You're just,
No, I don't think it was a done deal in April. This project has changed from the first time we saw it some years ago. We've always tried to take all the comments, all the concerns of the public into consideration, and the rights of the applicant as a property owner owning property on Route 52.
he owns residential property. He bought residential property.
Understood?
Why is he allowed to just suddenly come in and change it?
Other people have come in for rezones in the past
Yes.
also.
But maybe nobody said anything about that. This, there was an objection to. There's been an objection last year to this whole thing.
There's been objection to this for, I think the applicant's been in front of for the past 10 or 12 years.
Well, 10 years ago, that property was a farm.
No, well, we all lived on farms. Our
But that property was a
all zone
farm.
farming, and now we
And
have residential.
My
so-
concern is that that property suddenly became a development overnight. Yeah, they say it was 10 years, but nobody was ever notified about it. We were never told that there were hearings about what they were going to do over in Stone Ridge, and it seems like that's what's happening here again. Yes, we come in, we have a hearing, we tell you that we don't want it, and you ignore it, and that's the end of it.
Well, I can't speak for 10 years ago, I wasn't on that board, but I know that this board has taken the concerns of the residents of Stone Ridge very seriously, and they met with the applicant several times.
But have you met with the residents?
Yeah, we met with residents of
Since,
Stone Ridge.
since the...
Address, there, a lot of concerns was with traffic. They have small children, they don't want commercial traffic
And
going
the
through
value
there.
of their houses.
They don't want commercial traffic to go through their residential development. So we made the applicant change his whole plan to suit the needs of those residents.
On a
Now-
cul-de-sac, you're going to make it a cul-de-sac.
Nobody could go through a cul-de-sac,
No?
so,
And
you know.
actually, it's kind of, it separates the residential from the commercial, and it gives them their own entrance. I think it's
But we
it's
still
a
have
good
an
plan.
entrance on Route 52, right?
For the commercial,
For the
not for the
commercial,
residential.
yeah. Well,
Only
that's
for
where
the
we're going to have
commercial.
more traffic. You know, you can't get out of my street now as it is.
Well, that would be something that would be addressed by the planning board.
They're not
when-
going to do anything, you know that.
Okay, well, that's where it goes. The planning board, through SECRA, State Environmental Quality Review Act, they will review all these issues.
And
We're just, if we vote on this and approve it tonight, we're just approving the conceptual change, just as long as these conditions are included.
And that entrance for Route 52, I understand your concern for traffic. You know, the town board or the town planning board did not approve that. That's New York State Department of Transportation. That's a state highway, Route 52.
right, okay.
So we have no
So there's
say.
only going to be one entrance and one exit out of this onto Palin Road?
That's to be seen.
That's to be seen. The
Well, see,
planning-
now here we go. That's to be seen.
Well, the
So
plan, you'll have plenty of concerns, your concerns to, when you address the planning board, when that goes forward. You could, of course, attend all those meetings and tell the planning board your concerns. And I know I'm the liaison to the planning board, and I know they do their due diligence on a lot of projects. And there's a lot of concerns, like the supervisor has said, that some people come to this town and say that we don't want to put our business in East Fishkill because you're anti-business.
We're
And I
not
think that is a
anti-business.
disservice. I hear it all the time.
Well, that's not
Okay.
the concern here is
our
that
con-
somebody comes in, buys residential property, and expects it to be turned into commercial and gets it.
Well, they go through the proper procedures, okay? That they have rights
But
just
I
like
have
you
not
do.
yet heard one person come up here and said, we want this to go through. Not one. Everybody has been against it, for whatever reasons. Not one person spoke in favor of it, except probably the guy next door who wants the same zoning put in.
Okay.
You know, so where is it's going to do for the town and the people want it? Or you just don't care what the people want anymore?
Of course, we care what the people want. That's why we've gone through this long process to ask the applicant to make changes to address the people's concerns.
But now I don't see anybody from Stone Ridge here. Are there people from Stone Ridge here? Have you talked to them? Have you shown? We were supposed to see maps and all this stuff to see what it looked like.
I believe the applicant had his own
You
meeting.
could ask the applicant, were there any meetings with the people?
Well, all right,
from-
with Stone Ridge, but there are other
Excuse me.
people in East Fishkill besides Stone Ridge.
Oh,
Nobody made it a public meeting.
all these meetings.
I'd just like to address a couple of comments. First of all, when the original subdivision was put through, it's probably true you didn't see signs on the property because this town board 4 years ago changed the law to require the posting
Right.
of signs, which is why you knew about the April meeting to be here.
Right.
At some of the original petition for the rezoning in this property was to make it a B1 zone, which would have allowed a strip mall. There was a public hearing held on that some years ago. There was much concern about the drainage and the impacts of that. So the law was modified to create what's called a B1A zone, which eliminates the possibility of strip malls and would only allow smaller office-type uses,
Right.
less impactful, hopefully, on the environment.
Right, that's what was discussed in April.
And that is, so the town board has gone from a petition for B1, regular strip mall type operation, proposed modifying it in response to the people's concerns to a B1A, which would be a new zoning district, and the purpose for it is to kind of balance between where residential property abuts a commercial use. If you read the town's master plan, it provides for all commercial development along the Route 52 and 82 corridor. That's one of the things when an applicant or property owner petitions the town board for rezoning that has to be considered is what does our overall master plan show?
Why wasn't it rezoned, why wasn't it zoned commercial to begin with then?
Because there are many properties throughout the town that, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s were rezoned a certain way at that time in broad strokes because there wasn't anyone coming in to develop anything at the time. And then as time goes on, petitions are made, there was a public hearing, comments were heard, the public hearing was closed. You may disagree with terminology,
Well, I
but it was
misunderstood.
closed.
I thought it was closed for the
Right.
evening.
And the law allows the town board to take those comments into consideration, which this board did. And as the supervisor indicated, there are certain changes in the local law. So with a B1A zone, no access can be through a residential district. So that will resolve the issue with Stonegate. All of the other site-specific issues have to go through SEQA, which is with the planning board. There will be more public hearings. They'll be posted again on the property, big signs, let everybody know. The traffic issue is before the planning board on that, whether there should be one curb cut, two, or whatever, will be between the planning board, DOT, and, the traffic professionals. So all of that's still gonna happen.
Yeah, it's still
And
gonna happen.
obviously, people disagree, and when the vote's taken, either the town board agrees or disagrees with it.
Well, we already know where that's going, so, I mean, that's
But I just
irrelevant.
want- but there have been changes
Yeah,
from
but
the original.
the people don't know that.
Well, I
The
think we
residents
explained
don't know
the
that.
last
That's
time.
all sort of done, behind closed doors. It would be nice if we were included in that to see, I mean, do you live over on Route 52 or Palin Road?
I live in the other end of 52.
Okay, so it
I have
doesn't
my own-
affect you.
I have impacts in my neighborhood, which I'm not happy with, but they're on 52, and that's the commercial corridor, and I have to tolerate when I come out to 52 to make a left or a right also.
I've been here too
Yeah.
long to want to tolerate anymore. I mean, Archway Plaza went in out of the clear blue sky. Robert Marks Building went in out of the clear blue sky. Stonebridge went in out of the, we didn't know that it was going in there until the bulldozers came in and took Claude's house down. Then we found out how many, one says 40 houses, one said something else.
Right.
Nobody knew anything. And it seems like that's what's happening again.
No. We've done a lot of work on this project, taken a lot of comments from the public to allow this to be where it is right now.
Okay, how many people have commented they wanted it?
Oh, I don't know. I
Besides
encourage
the owner.
economic development myself. I know you don't agree with me on that one, but I think economic development is a good thing for the tax base and for jobs.
But when there are so
And I do
many
think- And I
empty
do think a
buildings?
few people at the last meeting weren't against a commercial project as much as it was the traffic.
No, they were against the commercial project. They picked up on the traffic because that was the most dangerous thing.
Okay.
But if you go
That's your
back and you
opinion.
read it or watch it,
Yeah.
you'll see that people were concerned about their houses and everything else, and that this was not in the original plan when they bought their houses.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there it is, and they don't have anything to say about it.
Well, they had a lot to say, and we took it into consideration, as
But you
did the
still went
applicant.
ahead with it, so what did it do
As
them
did
any
the
good?
applicant, so.
But we went ahead with it after we were satisfied with what the applicant responded to our concerns, which was a response to your concerns. 3 years ago, we had the main concern was the
The flooding.
water drain off into Lake City. And I remember I mentioned it, and others agreed.
Yeah, but that's
Let's-
never been
let-
taken
can
care
I-
of. That's
can I-
under the bridge. I
can
mean,
I-
that
can
water
I-
is going to be there forever.
Can
It's
I-
not, that has nothing to
Would you let the
do.
councilman
Can I,
finish,
can I
please?
finish?
Yes.
And over the next 2 or 3 years, whatever it was, there were things done which, in my mind anyway, and our engineer's mind and their engineer's mind, satisfied me and the rest of the board that that was a non-concern anymore. And then at the last meeting, which was well attended by especially the Stone Ridge people, that they were concerned about mainly traffic. They brought up their children, and rightfully so, to show that they had children who play there, and they were concerned for their safety, which is a major concern. And again, I think I said it, and I think the other members of the board said, this is something we have to look at. And we did. And we responded to it, or the applicants responded to it, and I think in a satisfactory way. So I think we've listened to the public, and we've listened to your very genuine concerns, and we've responded to it, and the applicants have responded to it, at least to my satisfaction at this point.
Okay, so, I just wanted to clarify where it all came from.
But the other thing is, it can't be a strip mall type piece of property.
It doesn't matter. It's going to be an ugly commercial building with more traffic and more, I mean, it's nice to see trees there. It would be nice to see a nice house there. But no, we've got to see another commercial building that we don't need because there's too many empty ones as there is.
Depending on most banks, doctor's offices, they
Professional's
are
office.
not getting in strip malls. They're all merging, they're getting together.
You're all down
I
at
mean-
Westage.
No, there's a big one right here in Opo if you want to drive north.
Oh,
Right in
yeah,
front
by
of-
the
right-
Taconic Parkway,
right in
yeah,
front of a-
okay.
Right in front of a major development, which
Yeah.
is the same type of thing that happened here. They
Yeah,
built
but
the
that was
develop-
there before the major development. Or
Oh,
it
no,
was
they
in
built-
at the same
They
time.
built a gas station after they finished that one.
No, I
That's
thought the
fine.
gas station was there a lot longer.
No, that gas station was new
And a
because,
strip mall.
I mean, that all came in afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, they came in after they got the development built,
Okay.
and
And if I could, excuse me, if
There
I
we
could, the drawings I've seen and the renditions I've seen from the applicants of this, I think it's going to be a rather attractive mall, strip
Well,
mall.
but you don't
I think it's going
live
to be
here.
very attractive. Well, I live about a mile down the road, so I go by
And the
it
traffic
quite.
doesn't bother you on Route 52 now? You can't get in and out, you can't move?
Not dramatically, no.
No.
But
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak on any items on the agenda? Okay, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, do we have anything under receive and file today?
No, we don't.
No? Okay. All righty. The first public hearing, we're to hold a public hearing tonight on the gas station reuse permit. Documents were filed with the county. There was a 30-day waiting period. The applicant did not submit their portion, so I believe we have a resolution to adjourn the public hearing on the gas station reuse permit to July 26, 2012. Do I have a motion to adjourn that public hearing till July 26, 2012?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second,
All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Okay.
July? Says
Yeah.
August on this.
Oh, that's, you got
On
an
the
old one.
resolution, it says July.
You got a new one. There was a little change there.
It's fine.
Okay. All right, the first resolution of the evening is to authorize the hiring of a camp nurse. Peter, Councilman Cassidy, would you read the resolution?
Whereas the Recreation Department has seasonal staff to run the summer camp, and whereas the previous health director, Tina Smalley, will be returning intermittently to help out at the summer camp at an hourly rate of $31, and whereas the newly appointed summer health director, Mary Connolly, will be working the summer camp when Tina is not available at an hourly rate of $20 an hour. Now therefore be resolved that the town board does hereby reappoint Tina Smalley as the seasonal health director in the recreation department. And further be it resolved that the recreational seasonal employees will be evaluated on their job performance before they will be subsequently considered for a seasonal position for the following year.
Thank you, Councilman. I believe that everybody should have a memo from the rec director also supporting this. Do I have a motion to authorize a new recreational seasonal employee?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. The second resolution of the evening is to award the contract for new heat pump at Limekiln Recreation Center. There's been quite a bit of discussion about this project, and I'm going to table that resolution for tonight for further review. Third resolution is to adopt public access defibrillation policy and procedures. Councilman Benke, would you read the resolution?
Whereas the town provides automated external defibrillators at various locations throughout its facilities, and whereas the equipment is located and marked by signs or decals at cabinets or buildings indicating where the same exist, and whereas certain employees and volunteers have been trained in the use thereof, and whereas it is the desire of the town board to adopt a policy with respect to the use of this equipment, and whereas said policy shall be made available with respect to all of the equipment at all of the location. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town board does hereby adopt the annexed Town of East Fishkill Public Access Defibrillator Policy and Procedures with respect to the use of automated external defibrillators maintained by the town, and further be resolved that said policy shall be posted on the town's official bulletin board and distributed to all staff who have been trained in the use thereof, as well as all department heads. And be it further resolved that the town safety officer shall ensure that the said policy be distributed in accordance herein.
Thank you, Councilman Benke. My goodness, the attorney does use a lot of whereases and be
I
further
know.
resolved, let me tell you that. All right, do I have a motion to adopt the public access defibrillation policy and procedures?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. If I don't get a second, I'll make him read it again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. The fourth resolution is to reschedule August and September public meetings by combining the work session and the public meeting. The town board customarily meets in workshop sessions on the second Thursday of each month and holds its regular monthly voting meeting on the 4th. Town board normally adjusts its schedule during the months of the summer, and town board has been notified this year that New York State primaries, which are held at the town hall, instead of being held on September 11th, will now be held on September 13th. Whereas it is the desire of the town board to reschedule its August and September's meeting, I'm just going to cut to the chase. Do I have a motion to reschedule the, we will not hold the workshop sessions in August or September, and we will still hold the regular voting meetings. In October, we will go back to our regular schedule. So, do I have a motion to not hold the workshops in August or September?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Anybody that voted against that would have to come and sit here during those nights. All right. Excuse me 1 second. Resolution number 5 is to appoint 2 seasonal recreation maintenance workers, whereas during the summer months, workload of the Parks Maintenance Division is greater, and it is the custom of the town board to hire seasonal workers, and certain vacancies do exist that need to be filled. Do I have a motion that the following be and hereby are appointed to these seasonal positions? That would be Michael McHugh, who would be appointed to full-time seasonal, and Alice Christ to part-time seasonal positions. Said employees shall be paid in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement salary schedule pertaining to these positions. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? We did interview this one individual, and the other one has been an employee, and I think that they are very fine workers. So With that being said, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Number 6 is to adopt a negative declaration and a local law creating a B1A zoning district. As we just discussed, a lot of work has gone into this. A lot of public comment has been taken into consideration with this application. I feel, in my opinion, is that conceptually, I think we can move this along to the planning board, where they will look again at all the planning, all the traffic, SECRA, stormwater issues. But conceptually, I think the project would be fine to move along. I would just like to ask the attorney to go through the local law and the conditions to be sure that the board is satisfied with the conditions.
As I indicated before, this would be a B1A zone, which we don't currently have, so the local law adds this to the zoning ordinance, and it applies it for the first time to this property, but it will continually be available for other properties in the commercial corridor. It has a limited number of uses that are available, primarily for professional offices or banks not with more than 2 drive-through lanes. It has various requirements for lot coverage. It also requires a certain buffer area on all sides that would buffer it. And based on the comments at the last meeting, there's a provision that provides that there is no access for ingress or egress through a residential district except for emergency purposes.
Okay.
So any project that's prepared cannot have any road through it that accesses into a residential community or residential zoning district.
Okay.
Okay. So that's been there. So there are 2 parts of it. The resolution on top of the local law adopts a negative declaration, which is required under SECRA, which means the board's taken a look at this throughout the town and feels that environmentally there are no impacts of any significance. And obviously, as the board has stated before, a site-specific application is still subject to a further review by the planning board.
Thank you. And the town engineer, Scott, we've looked at the stormwater, and
Yes.
we're satisfied that the stormwater from this project will not increase any stormwater
Being
flow.
retained on site.
Will be retained on site. Okay.
And I might add, if I could, that if it had remained residential, there'd be no provision and there'd be no way for us to enforce that.
Okay.
So only through this
Through this process.
applicant are we able to get zero discharge, yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Good point. Okay. With that said, do I have a motion to adopt the negative declaration and adopt local law creating a B1 zoning district? B1A, sorry, thank you.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. The 2 things that I know, again, the people in Stonebridge are concerned, but what I've seen from this, it will actually give them their own residential area, and they will you'll see a landscaped area, but you'll be separated from all the business activity, and I think it's going to really be a good fit for that project. So we'll see, and we'll go through the planning board. And also, I'd just like to ask the town attorney, the town engineer, that we want to make sure that that is maintained, that there's landscaped and the buffer and all that. Great, thank you very much. Okay, number 7, to accept the planning board recommendation to reduce Olana subdivision bond from $196,600 to $173,000. Councilman Delisandro, would you read the resolution?
Sure. The owner of the Olana subdivision has petitioned the town to reduce the performance bond presently posted in the amount of $96,600, and the said request, in accordance with law, has been reviewed by the planning board and the town consultants. The planning board has recommended to the town board that the bond be reduced to $173,000. Therefore, be it resolved that the town clerk be hereby is authorized to release the current performance bond of $196,600 upon the post by the applicant of a new bond of $173,000 in a form approved by the town attorney.
Thank you. Also, the board will see we have attached memo from the planning board and also from Morris Engineering Consultants with the checklist. Do I have a motion to accept the planning board recommendation to reduce the Olana subdivision bond?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
The engineer, just wanted to ask, the engineer's all okay?
Yes.
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, no problem, Councilman, no problem. And Scott, you're okay with this?
Yes.
Okay. Councilman, you're okay with this?
Yep.
Okay, it's unanimous. The resolution is passed. Number 8, resolution number 8 is to accept payment of performance bond and accept Donovan Drive as a town road. Whereas Donovan Drive is a proposed town road as shown in a prior subdivision, and there has been negotiation between the town and the developer with respect to the acceptance of said road. The said road is not fully complete, and the bond posted is $95,000. To resolve this matter, the developer is willing to pay the town the $95,000 amount in full in complete satisfaction of all claims. Therefore, be it resolved upon payment of the $95,000 from the developer, the town accepts Donovan Drive as a town road in the town of East Fishkill, and that upon a said receipt of funds from the town agrees to release a subdivision bond issued. Be it further resolved in accordance with law, the value of the performance bond is the sole recourse of the town has with respect to improvements not fully complete, and that a release will be issued to Fishkill Holdings. The town engineer and the town attorney and the highway superintendent be and hereby are authorized to effectuate the intent of this resolution, and that said road will be paved as part of the town's paving program, utilizing the funds received herein. I would like to make mention that, and Scott, as you are well aware, that the $95,000 may cover all of the blacktopping, but there's further maintenance. So what I'm proposing to the board is we will not go above the $95,000 we get. We will repair that road to the best of our ability, but I will not spend taxpayers' funds on this. I would like to just cap it at the $95,000 that we've received. If the board is okay with that. Okay? All right, good. With that, do I have a motion to accept Donovan Drive as a town road and release the performance bond? Or Tom, would that be accept the performance bond?
No, you're releasing.
Oh, we're releasing
We're
it.
getting the cash.
Oh, okay, then release the performance bond. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And Tom, you will notify the bond company, we'll take care of that?
We'll take care of it. The money will be deposited next week with the town, and we'll release paperwork then.
Great, thank you very much. Resolution number 9, accepting Ridgemont Drive as a town road, release a performance bond upon posting of a maintenance bond of $100,000. Councilman D'Alessandro, would you read the resolution?
Sure. Work has been completed on the West Wind subdivision as previously approved by the planning board, and the developer has indicated his desire to dedicate all of the proposed public improvements to the town. And the town's consulting engineer and town engineer have reviewed the same and recommend the acceptance of said improvements. Therefore, be it resolved that the town board does hereby accept the dedication of Ridgemont Drive South as a public road in the town of East Fishkill, and for the purposes of 911, name said road Ridgemont Road South, and be it further resolved that all other improvements and easements offered and required by the West Wind subdivision be and hereby are accepted by the town board. And further be resolved that upon the removal of 3 trees as directed by the town engineer, the town clerk be and hereby is authorized to release the current posted performance bond upon submission of to her of a maintenance bond in the sum of $100,000 for a period of 2 years in a form to be approved by the town attorney. Be it further resolved that the town attorney and town engineer be and hereby are authorized to direct and take all steps necessary to effectuate the completion of the acceptance of these improvements.
Thank you. Just a couple of notes to mention, because there's a Ridgemont Road on this side and a Ridgemont Road on that side, we want to just make sure that any emergency people would know that there's a difference, and we had thought about different names, but we thought maybe Ridgemont Road South would be the better name. Flows a little better. We were not thrilled with the extension, so we'd like to adopt the road, Ridgemont Road South. And Scott, just talk a little bit about these trees and the
Trees
work
have
that-
been removed this week.
Oh, they have been
They were
removed?
removed this week, yes. At the time of the memo, they hadn't been, but they
Okay.
have been removed.
So we're good to authorize reduction of this. Now we're going to hold a $100,000 maintenance bond? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Only 3 trees? Couldn't have been Chainsaw Miller then. Would have been 6.
Do I have a motion accepting Ridgemont Drive South as a public highway and upon posting of a maintenance bond of $100,000.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Number 10, to authorize the closeout of a general construction contract for Fishkill Plains filtration system. Scott, you want to just talk a little bit about this closeout of the general construction contract with Doyle Contracting?
Yeah, basically, all the work had been substantially completed on or about December of this year. So it's just a matter of going through all the credits and extras and really an administrative point. They've satisfied all their conditions. We're satisfied with the work. The punch list has been completed, minor things. So at this point, we're ready to accept the contract
Okay,
as complete.
very good. Do I have a motion to authorize the closeout of a general construction contract for the Fishkill Plains Water District?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. And again, I think that this Fishkill Plains Water Project has worked very well. It's been a long time coming. Number 11 is to authorize renewal of an employee assistance program with St. Francis Hospital, as we do on an annual basis. Councilman Cassidy, would you read the resolution?
Yes. Whereas the town, on an annual basis, engages the services of the workplace, a subsidiary of St. Francis Hospital, to provide employee assistance programs and training for the use of the town. And whereas it is the desire of the town board to extend and renew said program for an additional year. And whereas the cost per employee is $21, and the annual cost being approximately $1,932. Now therefore be resolved that the supervisor be and hereby is authorized and directed to enter into the agreement with the workplace at St. Francis Hospital to provide for an employee assistance program at the approximate cost of $21 per employee.
Thank you, Councilman. Do I have a motion to authorize renewal of the EAP contract with St. Francis?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
This is, I might add, is an excellent program. Excellent program.
Yeah. They've done a lot for us. They've done whole town training for all employees on different subjects and matters, and individually, too, they are very good. So
Right.
we do appreciate their help. Resolution 12, reject bids received for St. Francis, shouldn't put those two together. Reject bids received for the Francis Drive Drainage Project. Whereas the town engineer and town highway superintendent previously advertised for bids with respect to a drainage project on Francis Drive, and the town clerk received said bids and opened same. Upon review of said bids, the town engineer and highway superintendent feel that the cost proposed is over the budget they had previously determined. Now therefore be resolved that the town clerk be and hereby is authorized to notify all bidders that said bids have been rejected and to return any bid bonds or deposits previously posted to the respective bidders. Do I have a motion to reject the bids with respect to the Francis Drive Drainage Project?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those, any discussion?
Well, what happens with the drainage project then?
We'll have to take a look at it again, see if we can tweak the design of it, whatever we can do to get it to be a better economically viable project, and then we'll, at some point, we will re-advertise, rebid it. Okay?
Engineer, you're,
Got any
We're going to go
comments?
back to the drawing board and see if we can make some changes.
Yeah.
so what, springtime? When would you?
I don't know, we'll have
Well,
to see how it
possibly still
goes.
this year. It's just June, so.
Got to sharpen our pencil.
Okay.
All right, do I have a motion to adopt a resolution rejecting the bids received with respect to Francis Drive? Well, I made a motion. Did I make a motion?
Yeah.
Madam Clerk, I made a motion. I have a second.
And you had a vote.
Yes. No, we didn't vote.
Oh, you didn't vote?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Now we had a vote. All right, 13 is award a proposal for a hydrologist for a well field. Town has recently acquired a property across from the town hall from WCI, and it is the desire of the town to explore the development of a possible public water supply on said property. The town engineer has solicited proposals from various hydrologists to conduct a study on said property to determine where test wells should be drilled, and proposals have been reviewed by the town engineer. who now recommends the award of same. Therefore, be it resolved, the attached proposal from, and, let me just find their name.
LBG.
Well, we call them LBG. What is, how do you say that? How do you pronounce that?
Leggett, Brashears, and Graham.
Okay, that's why we call LBG. Okay, therefore, it be resolved, the attached proposal from LBG be and hereby is authorized by the town board with respect to hydrology study of the property owned by the town board on Route 376, formerly known as the Cannon property, and be it further resolved, the town engineer and town supervisor be and hereby are authorized to effectuate the award of said proposal. And everybody has gotten a copy of the proposal from the town engineer that was submitted by LBG. Do I have a motion to award the proposal for hydrologist for the well field to LBG?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any questions for the engineer? Very good firm, done a lot of work in this area, and they really have the expertise. Oh, also, I would like to ask the town attorney, Tom, this is not a bid, actually, this is professional services, correct?
There's no fee on this, this is just retaining the service. The engineering firm is willing to analyze the property at no cost
At no
at
cost.
this time, and come up with, then it would be woven into a future proposal
Which would be phase two.
for the actual drilling, so there is no charge for this.
For this part, yeah. Okay. We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, we said.
Okay. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Good. This is a terrific thing that we're going to get this, number two, 2 points. It's just really terrific that we closed on the property across the street a few weeks ago, and we're moving now to see what the water yield is across the street, the well yield, and just very happy to get this thing moving. So and a good company to be doing this, so just like to say that. All right, number 14 is to adopt standard workday as required for our New York State pension system. Councilman Denke, will you read the resolution?
Whereas under recent amendments to the New York State retirement law, elected officials are required to keep their at-work hours for the first 3 months of their term. And whereas the elected and re-elected officials have provided this information to the town controller, and whereas the town controller has recommended to this board certain work weeks be established for pension reporting systems. Now therefore be it resolved that the annexed pension report be and hereby is adopted by the town board as the official pension reporting system for the town of East Fishkill, and be it further resolved that the town clerk shall post, publish, and maintain said list in accordance with law.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt the standard workdays required? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. I have two resolutions from the floor, and the first one came up rather suddenly. It's a requirement from the New York State's Comptroller's Office regarding the wildflower extension. And I'm not happy with the Comptroller's Office at this point. Thanks Senator Sland's office for moving on this issue, but the Comptroller has asked that we would readopt the resolution making certain findings in connection with the establishment of the wildflower extension to the Hopewell Hamlet Sewer District. Everybody's got a copy of the resolution. So do I have a motion to adopt a resolution making certain findings in connection with the establishment of the wildflower extension to the Hopewell Hamlet Sewer District?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Supervisor,
Carol, I'm sorry, Scott?
if I could at this point, just add that job is out to bid right now. It's being advertised, I think, tomorrow.
Good.
For a bid date of July 23rd, I believe. So hopefully at the next voting meeting, hopefully if all's well, we can make the award on that contract, extend out to Wildflower.
That would be terrific. That would be terrific. So we'll get this moving, and thank you for that, Scott. Appreciate the input. Finally, we have a proposal. One of our vendors that was down at Red Wing Park a couple years ago installed some electrical equipment and he'd come in to remove the equipment, and I believe there was a meter and box, and an outside box. He'd given us a bill that he'd paid a little over $1,300 for the electrical boxes and the conduit, and he doesn't need it anymore, so instead of taking it off the property, he asked if we would be interested in purchasing it for $600. And Peter, one thing this would do, I mean, with some modification, we would actually use this to put a meter down at Red Wing to see what they're using in the building, because we always bid these things out, and we never know how much electricity, so if we're losing money down there because they pay so much a year, so. I think it would be a good thing to start out, and then if this works, we could actually do that at some of our other facilities. So it's a $600 investment. So do I have a motion to authorize the payment for this electrical equipment for $600?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Thank you, that does it for the resolutions for the evening. There are no budget transfers, but we are going to have a 15-minute presentation from the Town Controller, Mark Posniak, on current town finances. So, Mark, if you would.
So the purpose of this presentation is just to provide a very brief and high-level summary of the town's financial position for the benefit of the town board and for the general public. So what I wanted to start with was just a look back at where we've been for the past 5 years in the general fund. In 2011, general fund took in revenues of a little over $11 million and had expenditures of a little over $11.5 million. However, it's important to note that about $400,000 of that $376,000 deficit is actually recreation development expenditures. So it's not the use of operating funds, it's use of reserved fund balance. The things I think to note from this particular slide are the stability of the revenues and expenditures that we've been able to maintain and a consistent unreserved fund balance. In 2007, our unreserved fund balance was about $4.6 million. At the end of 2011, it was $4.4 million. That's a very healthy, robust fund balance. Of that $4.4 million, $900,000 has been appropriated in the 2012 budget, which means that the fund balance could be reduced by as much as $900,000 this year. However, historically in the town, we've budgeted approximately $1 million a year worth of appropriated fund balance. It's very rare that we actually expend that much. So I expect to see something less than that $900,000 appropriated. In 2010.
Excuse me, Mark, and
Yeah.
just say, this year we didn't, we had, what did we project to appropriate this past year?
In 2011, I believe it was $750,000 in the general fund.
Yeah, and did we appropriate any?
We ended up appropriating none of the unreserved fund
Okay.
balance. Yeah.
Okay.
In highway, the trend isn't quite as good. Primarily, you see the dip between the 2009 and 2010 years. That's that infamous storm that required about $800,000, $900,000 to clean up. It was a hopefully once-a-decade type thing, and I think we learned some lessons from it. But that severely depleted the highway fund balance. So we're a little bit tighter there, but outside of that one event, we've been able to maintain relative consistency in our revenues and expenditures for the highway fund. The other thing to note from this slide would be that expenditures actually were declining after 2008. That's largely because the town borrowed money for paving instead of using the operating budget to fund paving. So that's why you see a little bit of a dip in expenditures there. Town-wide, so this is general and highway combined, which is total expenditures in 2011 were about $1.6 million. This just shows a representation of how the expenditures were allocated throughout the town. About 33%, public safety is essentially the police department. Highway, 31%. Culture and recreation, that also includes the senior activities, was about 10%. Home and community services, that's zoning, planning, some other items there, 3%. general government support is everything we do in town hall not previously mentioned. So the clerk, the attorney, and of course, the controller. Recreation, capital, so that's
restricted.
that's the restricted monies that we've used to purchase in the past, Lime Kiln Park, Ann Avenue property.
Yeah.
Things, capital purchases specifically for recreation, using funds that were not derived from taxes. And debt service, 3%, that's almost unheard of to have such a small.
So we have very little.
We have very little debt. There's a little bit in highway, a little bit in general.
Yeah, but very little debt. That's
Yes.
a very good thing.
Some of the challenges that we've experienced,
Oh, my goodness, I don't know if I can look at this chart.
if you look at the dark blue line, that's the mortgage tax revenues since 2007. We've lost about $800,000 in mortgage tax revenues over that time. During that same period, health insurance expenses and pension expenses have been steadily climbing. Back in 2007, the mortgage tax revenues essentially paid for the health insurance expenses, but you can see in 2012, it's far from it. And in fact, over that period of time, the net effect has been a hit to the town of $2 million a year between loss of revenue and increase in expenditures.
That's a tough one.
Some of the additional challenges from a financial perspective that the town is facing, appropriated fund balance. Again, we have a very healthy fund balance. We're right at the top end of where the state recommends. There is such a thing as too much fund balance. If you have too much fund balance, it shows that you have perhaps overtaxed your population. So we don't have too much. We certainly don't want too little. We're at, as I said, the top end of the range where we want to be. But it is possible that we could expend $900,000 this year. It is possible, based on the fact that we have $900,000 appropriated in this year's budget, that we could continue to expend fund balance. That's a trend we don't want to see. So over the next 2 or 3 years, what I would like to do through the budgeting process is to ultimately plan on appropriating no fund balance. Save fund balance for our operating capital. That's in the months before we receive our tax revenues, we need monies to operate the town. To cushion the town for unforeseen operating deficits, a budget is just a guess, educated guess. If revenues come in short or expenditures come in above what we expected, fund balance will make up the difference. Or for planned one-off significant expenditures. There are going to be times where we have a major project that we want to incur, and we could fund that through fund balance. It's nice to have that reserve.
So basically, the fund balance right now pays for the operating capital when we're not getting our revenue.
Yeah, so, assuming we start the year at zero, no revenues, no expenditures, the expenditures come before the revenues do. So we need money to.
So we need that, so really, it's not a extra, it's there, it's needed, it's money.
It's needed as cash flow purposes.
Earmarked already, those monies. Not per se in the budget, but.
What's happening, you're getting bills, January, February, March, town tax bills go out, and we don't receive that revenue till.
Exactly. We need about 2 or 3 months worth of.
So we're using our fund balance to get us through that.
So if we don't
tough
have
period.
that, then we'd have to borrow it.
Right.
Yeah, we'd have to borrow money just to run the operations, then we could pay it back once we get the tax monies in.
So-
But there's an expense to the town there. Okay, the next challenge, and I've talked about this with the board members, is the highway paving. Back in 2009, we took out a bond for highway paving. I think it was a good short-term solution. It's not a good long-term solution to borrow for routine annual expenses. Within about 7 or 8 years, the interest payments due, the debt service would soon eclipse what we're actually using to pave the roads. And from then on out, you never recover from that. So again, over the next several years, we're looking at ways of funding the operating budget to allow for the highway department more paving.
And we did have a marathon meeting on that yesterday morning to discuss. And this is really what we need to do, is we need to start funding more of our highway budget as part of our routine
As
maintenance.
part of the annual budget.
One of the things that really took us back was that snowstorm. We did take out a budget note 2 years ago now?
It was 2 years ago.
What was that, Mark? Was that $300,000?
That was $300,000.
So we paid that back, and that $300,000.
We're still suffering from that storm.
Yeah, that
sort
will
of.
be then available to make up some of our paving budget. And these are the
Correct.
things that we're looking at to get back on track.
Right. One of the other challenges is the tax cap itself. Although we're in a solid financial position, so we've been able to withstand the constrictions that have been applied, it does make it difficult to do some of the things that we want to do. Borrowing money to acquire and improve water districts, as an example, because of the way the tax cap law is structured, we're really handcuffed in that, and it constricts our ability to raise monies for our other operating expenses.
And we found out that last year when we purchased Four Corners Water and Sewer, that the control, I guess the state controller's opinion was that that was going to hurt us in the tax cap. So,
It counts against
yeah,
our,
counts against us, our
exactly.
2%, so that was difficult.
Some of the positives in the town financial picture include strong sales tax receipts. For, going back 3 or 4 or 5 years, we had been typically averaging about $1.3 million in sales tax receipts annually. Instead of going down over these last few years in difficult financial environment, they've actually gone up by about $300,000 a year. That's a very good sign, and hopefully that trend will continue. Property taxes, despite some of the negative things that I've presented here, the town has been able to average less than 1.8% year increases over the last 4 years in property taxes.
And Mark, just so that everybody knows that your property taxes were only one small portion of your sales, of your property tax bill.
Yeah,
I think we're like 14% of your tax bill if you're in Wapner Central School District.
in that neighborhood,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and,
The bulk of it being
of
school
course,
taxes
The
and,
school taxes is around 70 some odd percent.
right.
So we've been very, I think.
Our portion of the property tax bills have increased minimally over the last 4 years. The strong fund balance that we've discussed, that's really put us in a unique position as a town in Dutchess County. I've seen lots of struggles with finances around the town and having to overcome the tax cap, but we've been able to withstand it. And the Moody's rating, AA2 is the best in Dutchess County. It's probably one of the best nationwide for a town our size. I can't imagine being rated more highly. A quote from the actual Moody's report that this high rating reflects the town's solid tax base, a healthy financial position bolstered by significant reserves. That's our fund balance they're referring to. Robust wealth indicators and a minimal debt position. Again, the town has unbelievably low debt and strong reserves. Preferred interest rates, one of the results of this is that we get preferred interest rates and have an easy time borrowing money should we need it. And that's pretty much it. If anyone on the town board or in the public wants more specific details about any one of these things, I'm happy to provide it. Feel free to call and set up an appointment or just stop by.
Great, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you. Any questions? All right, well, thank you very much. Now, public comments on general town issues. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to comment on general town issues?
Yeah, I've got about 4 or 5 of them.
Okay, Marty.
First of all, are you going to consolidate the police department into the new property that you have over here?
You think so?
Out of that rinky-dink place they have over
Yeah.
there?
Don't be saying that too loud, because they're putting that on their Christmas list now as we speak.
Good. They deserve it.
They do.
Got to get on, keep on a good side of that. Augusta Drive paving, that road is a disaster.
Which one is that?
Augusta Drive.
Augusta is?
I use it
Okay.
quite often because
Okay.
my daughter lives on it.
Okay.
It's
I don't
always-
know, it's probably not on the list for this year, Marty, and again, as we discussed in the last couple of years, things have been kind of tough. We're building up our highway fund, so if it doesn't get this year, we're going to be putting a lot more money to paving next year.
It's still got it's got a runoff problem too, where they're building those new houses on there.
Oh, really?
Every time it rains, you get some runoff off of there. I don't know why.
Okay.
You should have some
Shouldn't
straw
come off,
bales
I
over
don't
there
think
to
it should
stop.
come off the property. I'd have to, see if the property,
You can
property's
see the mud all
properly.
over the road.
Okay, Scott, we could have somebody take a look at that.
Absolutely. That's the first time hearing of it, so yes, we will.
Yeah.
Whereabouts on Augusta is that, Marty? Do you know the number on
Yeah, I
Augusta?
know where it is.
Oh, you know where it is?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
take a look.
You know where the two houses,
Yeah.
two brand-new houses
I've been
are.
by during, non-rain events. I
Yeah.
haven't seen anything, but I'll stop by next time it
Yeah.
rains.
I missed the brush drop-off, so
Yeah,
are you
you
gonna have
did.
another one? I got a ton of brush.
Yeah, we are going to have another one. Actually, what we're doing across the street with the property, right behind the sewer plant, we thought, we lease the property every year. We put away so much money for the property in Lime Kiln. We're actually, since we have the sewer plant across the street, making about 4 acres over there available for brush drop-off. And the thought is that if we do it on our property, number one, we can do it for longer periods. It won't be just like the 6 weeks we usually do in the springtime, so we'll be able to have it open longer. So we're just starting that process, Marty, so I can't tell you we can take your brush like next month, but we are working on that.
Okay. Again, I've spoken to you about this previously, about closing some of the exits and entrances on the, all the businesses, like where
Right through the
Nick's
hammer
Pizza
here.
is and all that,
Yeah.
Carvel and that.
Yeah.
It's a pretty
Yeah.
dangerous situation.
Oh, I know it is. And
I almost got hit there
when you
a
gotta
couple
go
of times.
from this store to that store, and you gotta come out on the road and go back in another curb cut, it's just ridiculous.
Tie it in like Unity Plaza, you got one or
Yeah.
two entrances and exits, and they
Yeah.
come out.
Yeah, now we're looking at that.
Not
That's
a
a huge.
half a dozen or 8.
Yeah, that's a big project. Of course, has to be done along with New York State DOT. But we're looking at that. We have our traffic people looking at that.
Yeah, similar to the Unity Plaza, that's about it.
Okay. If you
Thank you.
forgot anything, just stop by. You know where I work.
I know where you are.
Thank you, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
Okay, any other public comments on general town issues? There being none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carried. That's the quickest I got a motion, a second all night.